So, Sunday, I asked you to write down one word: decision, knowledge, relationship. And I told you that that word determines everything that comes next: the sequence of fixes, where the extraction starts, what methodology addresses first. Today we go into the knowledge bottleneck, but I'm not going to talk about it broadly because broad doesn't fix anything. I'm going to talk about where the knowledge bottleneck hits hardest in a CPA firm, where it shows up every single day, where it costs the most time, and where it the most client goodwill and the most staff. Well, it's the review pile. Every tax return, every financial statement sitting on your desk completely, technically done, but unable to leave the firm because until it runs through you. But pile exists for one reason: your standard. The judgment that determines whether a good piece of work is good enough to leave lives inside your head, and nothing has ever been built to hold it elsewhere. That's the knowledge bottleneck, and it's most concentrated, and that's what we are gonna talk about today. So, here's the root cause, and it's simpler than most owners expect. Your firm has no documented quality management system, and you are the quality management system. Your judgment, built over years of practice, is the standard every piece of work gets measured against before it leaves your firm. Your eye, your instinct, your sense of when something is right and when something needs another look. That standard in itself, it's real, it's valuable, and it lives entirely in your head, which means nothing can live without you going through your head first. And here's what makes it most urgent than it's ever been. So the AI CPA introduced new quality management standards effective December 2025, but require every CPA firm to have a documented quality management system in place. Not suggested, but required. And most firms doing 1 to 5 million in revenue don't have one because the partner is the system and nobody has ever built the document alternative. So, right now, in most firms at your revenue level, the reviews sit on your desk for two reasons. One, because nothing has been built to hold your standard anywhere else. And two, because you're now required by professional standards to have something built and you don't have it yet. And that's the problem. And here is what it costs. So, most partners think about the review problem as a time problem, hours they rather spend elsewhere. That's the smallest cost. Here are the three real costs. The first cost: your clients feel every day of the delay. Turnaround time is not a preparation problem in most firms, it's a review problem. Your team prepares the return in 3 days, then waits 5 days on your desk, 8 days, or even 12 days during the peak season. And the client doesn't know it's ready. We just know that my return is late. And when it's late, they remember. That's not your team's failure, that's a structural failure. Every return is queued behind every other return, waiting for one person's availability. And that one person's availability during tax season is the scarcest resource in the firm. Two, your best people leaving. Public accounting turnover runs between 15 to 22% annually. And it's not primarily a compensation problem, it's an advancement problem. Your managers have the title, yes, but they don't have the ownership. Because the ownership of the review, the actual authority to say this work is good and it can live, that sits with you, and it always has. A manager who can't own the review has no real growth path. They're executing, not leading. So they leave for firms that give them room to actually grow. And the third cost is you never get to do the work that actually builds the firm. Every hour in the review pile is an hour you did not spend on a client relationship that needed deepening. Maybe in a referral conversation that you didn't have, in a hiring decision that you deferred because you didn't have the mental space. The review pile doesn't just cost you money, it costs you the firm you are trying to build. So here's what fixes this: 5 documents, each one directly tied getting into the review, into getting the review of your desk and onto managers. So the first document is the standard quality. What does good work look like before it leaves this firm? Not in general, specifically, accurately, timely, aligned with what the client actually needs. And this in itself has never been written down, it lives in your judgment. The quality standard makes it explicit, so a manager reviewing a return has the same benchmark you use, not because they've watched you for years, but because it's in front of them in writing. 2. The review checklist. The specific items you check in every tax and financial statement before it leaves. Build directly on your review process. And this is not some generic type of checklist, it's yours. The things you actually look at, the sequence you actually follow. When a manager uses this checklist, they are following your process, not approximating it, following it to the T. The third document is the escalation protocol, the 3R ruling. They are only 3 situations that come back to you. The first one is gonna be your reputation risk. If anything that they do is gonna risk your reputation, revenue risk, a relationship risk. Everything else the manager handles. The checklist covers it and the standard guides it. The protocol defines the line. That line is what gives a manager the authority to actually own the review, and that's what gives you the confidence to let them. The fourth document is the unusual situations FAQ. The 20 to 30 most common situations that arise during preparation and currently route to you by default. Not because they're complex, but because nobody ever wrote down the answer. After the FAQ, there is a documented answer based on exactly how you've handled it every time before. And document 5, the reference card. This a simple one page of the standard, the checklist, the 3R threshold: reputation risk, revenue risk, and relationship risk. Kept at the manager's desk every time during the review, not filed away in some oblique corner, not shared in a drive that nobody opens, on the desk every time, paper and pen. 5 documents, that's the infrastructure that holds you standard without requiring you to be in the room. Here's how this gets built and embedded in 90 days. Day 1 to day 20. Well, what we do is a dependency audit. We map exactly where the review bottleneck sits in your firm, where the decisions stack, which parts of your review process are transferable now, and which ones need to be extracted fast. So we get the baseline metrics locked in. Day 20 to 22 to day 42, we have the knowledge transfer. Here and now where the 5 documents get built with your team, not handed to them, built with them. At that 30 day, we measure adaptability. It's the checklist being used, it's the FAQ being referenced, the escalation protocol holding. Day 43 to day 70, you have the manager ownership. Here you have the 5 review responsibilities transfer formally. The manager signs an ownership contract, and you step back from those 5. Your documentation now covers completely. And day 71 to day 90 is now where you have the tracking period. So 3 metrics weekly, 3 metrics weekly, and here you're reviewing your hourly logs by the partner, return signed off by the manager, you turn around time, and at 90 days results are locked in. So 90 days, 5 documents, 1 manager who now owns the review to your standard without you being in the room. The knowledge bottleneck in a CPA has a specific name: the review pile. And the fix isn't working harder, isn't a better software, or it isn't asking your team to step up. It's building the 5 documents that encode your standard and installing the manager who can hold it independently. Thursday, I'm walking you through the review checklist specifically on how to build it, from scratch, and how to build it from your own review process, step by step. Something that you can start this week. The dependency score is in the description, and it maps exactly where review bottleneck is concentrated and how deeply it runs. With that, I will see you on Thursday.